Beneath the canopy of the pristine, ancient forest, where towering trees obscure the gray sky, the man begins his journey of survival. He broke off some dry branches, tied them together to make a makeshift broom, and diligently swept the ground around a bare wooden shack, which had no roof. In a rudimentary wooden hut with no roof yet, the man stood in the middle of the ancient primeval forest, his hands firmly gripping a saw with a worn handle. Each back and forth motion of the saw echoed dryly, blending with the pattering rain and the wind rustling through the ancient trees. The man stacked the logs into the shack to create a makeshift bed. The beekeeper went searching for and gathering bundles of palm leaves to use as a covering and wall for his empty hut. The beekeeper took a tarp from his old backpack and stretched it over the roof. Tie each blade of grass together to make it secure. The sky began to patter, with raindrops falling diagonally through the leaves onto the tarp. The man bent low, quickly gathering the scattered items around the partially enclosed wooden shack. Rain pattered on his shoulders and the back of his dark shirt. Mud clung to his heels, each step heavy but resolute. He tucked the knife, rope, and cloth bag into the few dry corners, his eyes constantly glancing up at the gray sky. The rain intensified, large, heavy raindrops pounding against the makeshift tarpaulin shelter with a loud rattling sound. A strong forest wind arose, shaking the ancient trees and sending rainwater splashing into the hut. The air was thick with moisture, cold and damp. Under the persistent jungle rain, the man stood barehanded in the clearing next to the hut. He picked up each rough wooden stake, one end sharpened, and then used his entire body weight to drive them into the wet ground. His calloused hands gripped the slippery wood, each forceful blow sending mud flying. The stakes gradually sank deep, aligning to form a simple awning to shelter from the rain. Having finished the timber frame, the man turned back into the nearby forest. He bent down, wrapping his arms around each freshly cut log, lifting them with all his might. Each step was heavy on the muddy ground, his heels sinking deep, leaving prominent imprints. The logs were then carried back and neatly placed under the newly erected awning. The man sat down on the newly made wooden chair, leaning his back gently against the post. The awning sheltered him from the rain, the water dripping steadily in front of him. He sighed, gazing at the hazy rainforest, feeling the warmth gradually return to his body amidst the wild landscape. Rain streamed down his muddy face, but the shelter gradually became enclosed. He sat up and took out the vegetables, carefully wrapped in a cloth bag. The knife made a dry sound as it touched the root, and each piece was neatly cut and set aside. The scent of earth and forest mingled with the aroma of fresh food. The man stacked dry firewood, skillfully shielding the fire from the wind. The embers flared up, the warm orange flame dispelling the damp chill of the rainforest. A pot was placed on the stove, the water simmering, the smoke mingling with the mist of the rain. He sat near the stove, a simple bowl of food in his hand. Each spoonful was eaten slowly, the firelight casting a glow on his silent face. Outside, the rain continued to fall incessantly, while inside, a fragile warmth prevailed. After eating, he lay down on the rough wooden bed, pulling the thin blanket over himself. His body was turned towards the fire, the flames dancing and casting shadows on the re-thatched walls. The sounds of rain and crackling wood blended together, gradually lulling him into a restful sleep deep in the forest.